Hey everyone, it is January the 4th. I almost said December. Can't remember, can't even get the month right yet. I don't know what it's going to be like when I have to write the new year, but we'll just have to just fumble through it, right? So it's kind of, in these days, there's so much happening in our reading, and it's really challenging to try to select exactly what our lesson should come from. And I read and I look at what I've written down in my journal and in my notebook and what I have highlighted, except for right now I don't have anything highlighted because my Bible's brand new. And then I might pick a word that jumps out to me and go look up the definition. Not necessarily in Hebrew, the Old Testament's in Hebrew, but sometimes just in English, in dictionary.com. So that's how kind of where it starts finding its place, its resting place in my mind is just going around and doing that. And then I try to go back and look and see, have I taught on this before? Did I just teach on this last year? Because I definitely want fresh material, content. And the Spirit's going to do what the Spirit's going to do, even if it's an old lesson. But today, I wanted us to just park at Genesis 12:1 and focusing on the idea of leaving. Because this is what Abram was told to do by God. He was told to leave. The Lord said to Abram, leave your native country, your relatives, and your father's family, and go to the land that I will show you. And here's the thing. That sounds, oh wow, that sounds adventurous. That sounds exciting. And yet, we have to really look at the day, and we have to look at what was happening then. And God was asking Abram to leave a place of prosperity and civilization. He was asking him to leave his family, people that he knows, where he'd been living, where there's land, plenty of land for farming, where there's plenty of water, where there's plenty of commerce, there's money to be made in supporting your family and yourself. He was asking him to leave the place to be. Do you know what I'm saying? When God asks us or makes a request or makes it known to us that he wants us to leave somewhere or to leave something, a lot of times it's, this is the place to be, Lord. Why would you want me to leave here? For example, and I try not to give too many ministry examples because not everybody's in ministry. And if you are, not everybody's in the ministry like I'm in the ministry, like public speaking and writing books and all that kind of thing. But this is an example. For years I had prayed, Lord, I want to teach the Bible, and I want to teach in little chunks. And Wendy Blight, who is a really good friend of mine, she's also with Proverbs 31 Ministries. And the two of us, we had that same dream, and we prayed. And we even took a proposal to the leadership of Proverbs many, many, many years ago with this idea of Bible teaching just little chunks at a time. And it wasn't the time. They weren't rude about it or anything. Heavens no. It just wasn't the time. And a few years ago, it was the time. And Lisa Turkhurst laid out the dream of First Five. And Wendy Blight and I were invited into that. And girls, it was like I had gone to heaven. I could not believe that what Wendy and I had dreamed about and had prayed about had come true. And we were invited in to be a part of this. And we didn't do anything other than just pray about this. So we were ready. We were saying yes. And what a place to be, right? And then 2.5 years into it, things got overwhelming with me in my personal ministry. Not overwhelming in a bad way, but just overwhelming in a good way. And something had to go. And I remember the Lord was really clear. This one's going to have to go off the list. But Lord, this is the place to be. This is the place to be. I'm doing good. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I know this. Yeah, but I need you to let that go. I need you to leave. But what am I going to be doing? Well, of course, I was writing a couple books and I had things, but it wasn't scratching the itch. I had to read through the Word. But it wasn't scratching that itch that First Five did. But he asked me to leave. And I did. Girls, about 5 months later, my mother had a stroke. And since then, I have been taking care of them, my mom and my dad, because when my mom was at the hospital recovering from her stroke, my father fell and broke his arm. So for 2 years, things have... Anyways, God knows what he's doing. And I have received the greatest blessings in taking care of my parents. The greatest blessings. So this is what I want us to say. I want to say, sometimes we have to leave to receive. God had big plans, not only for Abraham, but he had big plans for all of creation, all of the nations, all of the people. Because it is through his obedience and faithfulness that you and I have the opportunity to be saved. And we'll get to that later, much later. But sometimes we have to leave to receive. It's just that simple. Change is hard. Uprooting is not fun, especially when we don't have the answers. We don't know the who, what, when, where, why, and how, because we want to know that because that's who we are. And Abraham didn't have any of that. He didn't have any of the who, what, when, where, why. But he obeyed God. God will never ask us to leave someplace for something less. He's not going to ask us to leave this place to go to a place that's less than. It's just not going to happen. His place and his direction is better. But he gets to define better. Better to God for us in a season may be to leave the place to be and walk into a season of headaches or heartaches or hard times. But that place is better than where we were because we've walked out in obedience and we are with God and the Holy Spirit and Jesus in our headaches and our heartaches and our hard times. And I would rather have Jesus in the headaches and the heartaches and the hard times and knowing I left when I was supposed to than to stay in the place to be and shouldn't be there. Sometimes we have to leave to receive. Corrie Ten Boom said this: "We can trust an unknown future to a known God." Yes, we can. He is completely trustworthy. Maybe he's asking you to leave someplace today. I don't know. But if he is, he's trustworthy. I promise. Abraham's story is going to prove that. He's trustworthy even when we mess up. And Abraham's story is certainly going to prove that. Y'all have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow.